Oh.
It is, the tape is running. I checked it. And
Oh.
Oh, cool.
it must have run out of power this time.
But it's not tape.
You know,
No, that's right.
I
That's
go
right.
back
It's
to- I go
a, it's
back
a
to
digital.
tapes and tape. That's
Oh.
how long I've been doing it.
Oh, okay. Hello. This is Martha Guptill from CelebrityCharities.com, and we're at the Mid-Atlantic Nostalgia Convention. And I'm with James Darren, one of the celebrity guests. And Darren definitely is the star of film, television, and recording artist. A wonderful, wonderful gentleman. And, yeah, well, and we're certainly happy to have him here with us. And we're discussing the celebrity charities involvement and any charity that you might have a support of.
Well, one of my favorite charities is, first of all, anything to do with children. But what I had mentioned to you yesterday about about our veterans, um, I just any charity that has anything to do with vets, I do try to become as involved as I possibly can. And I mentioned also that Gary Sinise, who's a wonderful actor and supports our veterans more than anyone I know ever have known. Um, whatever, it's tough. I don't have one particular charity that I absolutely dedicate all my free time to. Um, but um, Wounded Warriors is one, of course. We mentioned that yesterday. And it's a great charity. It's a great cause, I should say, because what you do is you help these young people who come back from service for our great country and for us, and you support them, which they need desperately. Um, I just wish our government would do more for our vets than they do, and I don't know why they don't. I mean, we owe them so much. It's just frustrating to me to see that vets even trying to get a home loan is tough. I don't get that. I just don't get it. Um, and they come back from war, from these battles, and they suffer so many traumas that they need our help, and we should be grateful and thankful to these people. I mean, so that's one, and then of course anything to do with kids. Like I said, I used to spend a lot of time visiting children's hospitals, and it's heartbreaking. It's just a very, very difficult thing to do for anybody. I know it was always difficult for me. But if it gave them joy, then of course it was worth it. But it's so heartbreaking to see a child who doesn't have much time to live, you know.
Yes.
But if what I can give them, or anyone can give them, gives them a little ray of happiness or something, then it's great. And also, when years ago, I had a friend, Bill Conley, who's no longer with us, and we used to visit all the uh, retirement homes, or homes for the aged, with a dog. We had a dog named Jeff, and they loved just being able to touch the animals and hug the dog. And it's amazing the things that what pleasure an animal, a dog in this case, could give these people. It was just phenomenal. They would absolutely light up like a million watt bulb.
Yes.
So it was a great pleasure for me to be involved in that, and we did it for a very long time, for many years until Bill passed away. And I miss doing that because I had so much fun with those people. You know, you take these people 80, 90 years old, and they're hysterical because I talked to the guys, to the men, might have been 92, 93, 95 years old, and he says, "Man," he said, "I got 3 women after me." I said, here? Yeah, here. I said, you're kidding. You guys still do that stuff? If we can. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Oh
I
my.
swear, I thought it was
That's
so
incredible.
so wonderful to hear that. I said, "You really have three women?" Oh yeah. I said,
Oh, yeah.
I got to be careful." He said, "Oh, yeah." And some of them would sneak out at night and go to other. A guy would go to this woman's uh, room. Guess I got to be careful what I say, but they would. I mean, I don't know that, and they were in their 90s. They were up there. Fabulous. I mean.
They're
Yeah.
live wires.
Oh, gee. I said, listen, what do you eat? Tell me. What is it? What do you drink? Yeah, let us know, because when I'm 90, I want to be there too.
I know, exactly. I
Oh,
know.
man.
Well, I know. That's wonderful. And I do want to ask you also, on that same vein, you have such a wonderful voice, and you're in such wonderful health yourself. What do you do to take care of yourself for your voice
Well,
and your own health?
I try not to abuse anything. I mean, I don't smoke. I don't even like smoking. I don't like the smell of it, actually, and it's horrible for you. Uh, I do like to have a drink occasionally.
Yes.
So I don't really deprive myself of many things, maybe a few, but I just think that if you do things in moderation, that it's very good. And what I do I love riding motorcycles, and
Oh my.
I've ridden for years, but in the dirt,
Oh, I see.
motocross, hill climbing, things like that. But what I do now is I walk about 3-4 miles every day, and take my vitamins, you know. I love to eat I love vegetables, so that's I mean, I love meat too and fish, but I'm a big veggie nut. I never was, and my mom, who always was, lived to the ripe old age of 94.
Oh my.
So she ate vegetables all the time. Um,
Gracious.
so and I. The,
Favorite saying about that is all things in moderation, including moderation.
including moderation. But it's interesting. I mean, veggies are, I guess, they're great for you. They were great for my mom. That's for darn sure. So my diet consists mostly of vegetables, meat, a bit of meat, and a bit of fish and chicken, of course, as well. And I think if you just take care of yourself and don't abuse yourself, no one knows your body like you.
Right.
And if you feel like you're pushing yourself, then slow down, stop, and don't. And people think, oh, gee, I could stay up all night and party and this, and I'll make up for it tomorrow. Well, you don't, because you can never make up for lost sleep. Once it's lost, it's done. You can't, in other words, not sleep for 3 days and say, okay, I'm going to sleep for a week now. I'm going to make that up. It's not a fact. I mean, the damage you've done to your body is there. So you can sleep for another week. It ain't going to help you.
That's right.
Keeping yourself so healthy has enabled you to maintain a very active performing career. You're still performing.
I love it.
Where have you
Oh,
been
my.
recently, and where are you going in the
Uh,
future?
I just closed Las Vegas at the South Point, which I love that hotel. It's right at the very beginning of the Strip on I-15. And
Great.
Sunday I go to Chicago to do an Italian festival outdoor concert. And then where do then I go to Vineland, New Jersey. There's the Landis Theater there, and I work there the August 23rd. And then I go to Atlanta for a private party. And I don't know, I have to look on my website to tell you where I'm going, because I can't remember.
Give us your website address.
But it's jamesdarren.com, and it has schedules and things like that on it, And in case I forget, you can tell me where I'm going to be.
Yes.
Well, I also want to ask you, who influenced you the most in your life? It could be professionally and personally, or both.
Well, I would think my greatest influence was probably my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. My mom, dad, my brother John, and I live with my maternal grandparents, my grandfather John and my grandmother Clara, and she was always she was the one who started me really loving to sing. She would pay me to sing for her neighbors. She'd call them in, and I'd stand behind the partition, separating the dining room from the living room, or the kitchen from the living room, and and sing. And she'd pay me 10 cents, which was my first paying job, you know. Then she bumped it up to a quarter about 3 years later. Not bad. But she was the one. She just was such a huge fan, I guess. I don't know. I mean, she just inspired me to do things that I probably, I may have still done, but maybe with not so much love, you know, and her support. And then, of course, my mom and dad supported me tremendously when I went to acting school in New York. You know, my mom and dad, I mean, I was a kid in school, so they would pay for all that stuff, and also my singing lessons, my trumpet lessons, things like that. Yeah, I played trumpet for about 3.5 years, studied for about 3.5 years, and I still have the trumpet my dad gave me when I was about 12 when I started playing trumpet. It's a beautiful Martin committee model, which anybody who's a trumpet player who's watching this will know that it's a gorgeous horn and a very sought after trumpet, as a matter of fact. So I still have mine.
You also have a souvenir from your time tunnel days that you talked about yesterday.
Which?
Your turtleneck.
Oh, my turtleneck sweater. Oh, yeah. I have my green turtleneck, which people would say, did you ever wash that? And of course, it was cleaned every day. but yeah, I still have that. I still have my green turtleneck, and it's in one of those, you know, those airtight bags that you put them in.
Yes.
You use a vacuum to suck out the
bag. Yeah, the
space
bag. Yes.
That's right. Draws all the air from the bag, and it vacuum seals it, I guess is what it's called.
Yes.
So I still have that. Yeah, that's right.
Got a kick out of your modification.
Oh yeah. It's made of the cheapest wool you can possibly find. I mean, I don't know where they got that wool from, but and it was very scratchy around the neck, and most people don't like that, and I'm one of those most people. So they lined it in silk for me, and they put a zipper here which you couldn't see. So it was much easier to get into. And I also have something else that I treasure that I've had for many, many, many years now, and that's my gold TCB that Elvis gave me.
Oh my goodness.
And
Taking care of business.
taking care of business.
Word.
And Elvis gave me that, and I have it, and I used to wear it all the time, but since he's passed away, I don't, for fear that I might lose it or something.
Oh, I bet.
And so I keep it in a safe, and actually in a bank.
I would.
And I keep it there because it just means so much to me. And Elvis and I used to play touch football together at Coldwater Canyon Park in Beverly Hills, California. So it was really great. And he was a great guy. I love him. I miss him. And I got my children to meet him. My sons Anthony and Christian. And it was just a great experience for them. And he was as cordial and sweet as you could possibly be.
He was a true gentleman.
He was truly a gentleman.
He had his problems.
He was a gentleman. He was raised a gentleman,
Right.
and he was always a gentleman. Absolutely.
That's right. And his mother was such an influence on him.
Great
you know?
influence.
And
Tremendous. They're similar to like what I mentioned, like with my grandmother. You know,
Yes.
they inspire you, they encourage you. They, you know, and they're so protective. My grandmother. I mean, as much trouble as I got into as a teenager, and I got into a lot of trouble. Trust me, not horrible things, but you know, teenage trouble. And she was always protective. My mom and dad, who both worked, my grandmother would take in work. You know, taking
yes.
sewing.
Yes.
So she was always the one. She was the one who really raised us, my brother and me. You know, because my mom and dad were always working.
Yes.
So they never knew of all my little goodies that I would get into. You know, and because my grandmother would never tell them. She just would. If I ever played hooky from school, and the truant officer came by, my mom and dad would never know, because my grandmother would bribe her with a jar of tomato sauce.
Some are always the best cooks.
They're always the best cooks.
Oh,
They're
what
always.
was the favorite
Well, my grandmother, she made her own
dish?
pasta.
Uh-huh.
And there's a thing that's called a guitar, like a playing guitar, like an instrument, but it's got metal strings and it's made of wood, and you knead your dough, the dough that you're going to make the pasta with. You lay it on top of this, and you take a rolling pin and go over it, and it drops, it cuts it and drops it into the lower portion of this guitar. I don't know if it's officially called a guitar, but I believe it is. And so she would make her own noodles and things, and she'd make ravioli, great ravioli with
Oh my
fresh ricotta, and you set out your dough, you fill it with a spoon the amount of ricotta that you want in each ravioli. She used a nice big tablespoon, and then she'd flip it over and cut it, and my job was to take a fork and close it up around, to seal the ravioli. Yeah. I couldn't take credit for making the ravioli or the taste of it, but boy, I sure ate enough of them. I'll tell you that.
Your eyes were actually sparkling describing that with a memory.
Yeah, oh yeah. Were they? Because I swear I remember it vividly. And our kitchen table was porcelain. The old porcelain tables, and it was just wonderful. That's where she would make the pasta right there in the kitchen. Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Um,
I'd like to have you sing one bar of your favorite song.
Oh my, I don't have a favorite song.
Or one of
Let's
your-
see.
your most
There's no such thing as the next best thing to love. No substitute or facsimile thereof. That's from Gidget.
oh, and I wanted to ask you about the Gidget movie.
Huh?
What was it like actually working with Sandra Dee?
Well, that's my favorite movie. The first Gidget's my favorite Gidget movie. Gidget Goes Hawaiian I liked. Gidget Goes to Rome I liked. And Cindy Carroll and Deborah Wally were both very special young ladies and did a wonderful job
Yes.
playing that role. But Sandra, to me, was the epitome of what Gidget should be. And she was absolutely adorable, just a lovely young person, and I adored her. She was just I was very 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 sad day when she passed on. It just was, and so untimely, just
Yes.
a tragic thing. But
Yes.
she was so sweet. I remember those days vividly on Malibu Beach, and it was quite exciting.
You had some funny times.
Oh, we had
funny
great
moments?
times. We had great times. I mean,
Great.
my friend Joby Baker played Stinky in Gidget, and we're still buddies to this day. Mickey Callan, who was in Gidget Goes Hawaiian,
Yes.
Michael Callan, you would know him
Yes,
as.
yes.
He and I are still great buddies.
Oh,
So
good.
so we had some pretty. I've been a lucky person. I've done things that I've always dreamt of doing as a kid, and I mean, I always knew I wanted to be famous, or that's a terrible word to use, probably a terrible term to use, but I knew I wanted to be in show business, let's say, as a singer or an actor, whatever. And I was always a ham as a kid. I mean, I was always doing things that were like totally insane, making these scenes up. I had my dad bought me an 8mm camera, so I used to make my own little movies,
Oh, goodness.
and I would take clothing and stuff clothing and make dummies from them, and then make like a murder scene or something in the
Yes.
living. So my mom would come home from work,
Oh,
and
my
it'd be this dummy lying on the floor with ketchup on him. She'd be screaming and thinking I was crazy. One time I made a dummy and put it on the toilet.
Oh my gosh, oh, I love it.
It was unbelievable. My cousin walked in. My cousin Clara walked into the toilet and screamed her head off. It was a dummy sitting on the toilet. I mean, she didn't know what the heck it was. I mean, who does things like that?
Like Elvis Scorsese.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I did things.
You're directing, and
Well,
You're acting
and I
that.
directed for a long time. I directed Hunter and The Walker, Texas Ranger, and Beverly Hills 90210, Melrose Place, Hardball, a lot of shows. And when I was young, I would also do things where I would take toilet tissue. I'd wet my face and take toilet tissue and mold it onto my face, and then and then and then mold it into different features,
Right.
and cover eyes and take my mom's mascara or something and make an eyebrow on it, where you wouldn't have it because you'd have
Is
tissue.
that the secret to your youthful looks?
Well, no, yeah, I use toilet tissue.
That toilet tissue.
But then
That's it.
I would climb out. I'd go out the back of the house into the alley, and walk around to the street with this kind of a mask, for
Oh, my,
lack
yeah.
of a better word,
Right.
white, of course,
Right.
and then knock on the neighbors' doors and scare the hell out of them. And they would say, "Boy, your grandson's weird. You know that? He's a weird kid." So I mean, I am weird. What can I tell you? But
Creative.
these are the
Creative is
things.
what you
Yeah.
are.
I mean, it was so great to take toilet paper and make cheeks and change the shape of your forehead and your eye sockets and things like that. So,
That's very artistic.
Well,
very
yeah, except
artistic,
my neighbors didn't think so.
They didn't.
They thought I was a lunatic as opposed to artistic. Oh, I was always Halloween was every day for me.
Did you have a favorite toy when you were growing up? Favorite toy of any type?
Not that I can think of. Yeah, model airplanes.
Oh, really?
I always built models. Yeah, I did.
Oh.
I used to fly. I used to fly what they call U-control. U-control model airplanes. Yeah, and
Oh, my.
I made those for a long, long time. Flew them for a long time, and I loved to disassemble the engines and then put them back together, and yeah. No. I was always good at that. My dad was incredible because he could do anything. He could do. My father's dad was a stonemason in
Yes.
Italy,
Oh,
in Abruzzo, Italy, and all four of my grandparents came from Italy. They were born in Italy. 3 from Abruzzo and 1 from Calabria. So my dad, like his dad, was great at not so much stonework. My grandfather was excellent at that as a stonemason, but
Yes.
a bricklayer. My dad could do electrical work, plumbing work. He could do anything, and I learned all that from him, so I could do all that stuff. And building model airplanes and taking engines apart was like second nature to me. I mean, I would remember how I took it apart, and I'd put it back the same way. I would do it with my motorcycles. Take my motorcycles, the engines apart, and put them back together. One time I put it back. I put the carburetor back. I put the float back the wrong way, and I kicked the bike over. And my God, it was running at full RPMs,
Oh, my.
and it took me right through a wrought iron gate. I mean, it just broke right through that. Yeah, and I reached down. I'll never forget. And I took the spark plug wire, which if an engine's running that hot, you get a hell of a shock. And I pulled it. It's the only way I could stop the engine. Even then, it was hard stopping it because the fire was still in the head. It was pretty interesting. So I've done a lot of crazy things. And now I'm going to go back and sign autographs.
That's right. That's exactly right. We thank you certainly
Thank you
so much.
I just
James
revealed
Darren, for your time.
I just revealed my entire life to you.
Oh,